Director of Education here at Quintessence. And then I'm just going to pass it over to my lovely guest. Just your name and where you're coming from today.
My name is Bob Binkley. Oh, I guess ladies first. Suggested to me, Bob Binkley. I'm a founder of the Bucks County Gilbert and Sullivan Society. I'll promote what's coming up later, but I'm a veteran of 100 Gilbert and Sullivan productions over the years. I've done roles in all 14 shows. There are 14, and I don't know.
That sounds great.
Done a lot. I still love it. Each one's my favorite one I'm doing.
Oh, wonderful.
I'm Julie May. I live in Westchester and I commute to Bucks County so I can perform with them and so I can also direct. He and I are directing HMS Pinafore in June, Father's Day weekend this year, or it's Father's Day weekend. Bob is the music director, I'm the stage director. I started theater when I was 45. I haven't looked back. I'm a great supportive husband. I've done a lot of shows, been to England, performed there, directed there. Gilbert and Sullivan is fabulous entertainment. What more can I say?
Amazing. Thank you both for being here this afternoon. I'm going to start our conversation with just a couple of questions for these amazing Gilbert and Sullivan experts that we have here this afternoon. What do you love most about Gilbert and Sullivan's work in general, and then the Pirates of Penzance specifically?
In general, Gilbert was the master of wit. He had a sharp pen. The Queen hated him. Sullivan was a master in harmony and music. There are many Episcopal hymns that he wrote in the older Episcopal hymnal before they changed it in 1985. But the Queen loved him. He was knighted when he was very young. Gilbert was not knighted until she died. And then the next king knighted him. But I love the entertainment. I love that it's a wonderful thing for anybody to enjoy. Our productions often have generational participants. We will have a grandchild, a parent, grandparents, all on stage or backstage. It's something that I think we miss in the society, but it's a great community, and you always find great people when you do Gilbert and Sullivan. As far as this particular production, what energy!
Yes.
They kept it moving. The blocking was wonderful. That's the movement on stage. Some interesting lighting effects. I love the Major General's choreography and his song.
Yes.
And I love the added little bing bell to remind you of things.
Oh, I love that.
Wonderful. There's Gilbert and his words, the whole business in the second act about the escutcheon and the family honor, and it's, I don't know whose ancestors they were, but I know whose ancestors they are.
Yes.
And beautiful delivery of lines and just a fabulous production all across the board.
Love that. Bob, what are your thoughts?
Well, I've always said Gilbert and Sullivan is, if I use the word, inexorable combination of silliness and beautiful music. Mm-hmm. And that's maybe its greatest appeal. That's an understatement. But Gilbert's wit is just palpable. And the articulation that we saw tonight was just perfect. I love the fact that we aren't using microphones.
Yes.
It makes it so much nicer in a small theater to be able to understand everything. And these folks really articulated everything perfectly, just really strikingly well. Very often you get people with big voices and they're impressive singers and you don't get the words.
What did you think about the introduction of politics?
That was actually my next question. So let's sort of open that up a little bit. So with Gilbert and Sullivan and this production in particular, what are we trying to get from this piece of theater and bringing it into a modern context? Like how did we feel about how this production did that? And then how do we feel about Gilbert and Sullivan's words still being relevant today?
Well, they've always been relevant.
Right.
Gilbert understood people. He really understood character types and the foibles of people. So I don't think that was missing.
Right.
Today, what we saw just now was modern, none of these people have done, only one of these 9 folks on stage has done Gilbert and Sullivan traditionally. And they all have a Broadway kind of energy. The voices are a little less polished, but very clear, very beautiful. It was interesting, and I'd be interested to hear from you whether you got it. You know, those of you who've never seen the show, whether you got it, whether you understood the plot, and those of you who have seen it a dozen times, whether you were pleased to see this just a different style.
Yeah, let's see, just,
But
yeah,
going
go ahead.
to the,
Yeah,
to the
absolutely.
politics,
Yes.
the idea of injecting politics, that's what Gilbert was all about.
Yeah.
Was he absolutely was skewering the Queen and the peer structure and everything like that, which is why she hated him. She could not abide him because he got her. He absolutely all the time. So throwing in a political reference here for today's politics is right in keeping with, if Gilbert were alive now, he would be skewering everybody and everything, because that's what he did. And many times when you have a repeat, when you have an encore for a song, the director or the person singing or somebody who's a wit in your cast will write a political satire moment to do the encore. So you are right in keeping with what this show was designed for, was to make people think and to make people, laugh at certain foibles and, be aware of certain foibles.
Absolutely.
I found the addition of the puppetry with Trump distracting, unnecessarily distracting. There were a number of things in the second act that didn't quite allow the story to tell itself. And I think you always take a chance if you rewrite the music or if you rewrite the story. And as much as I love the Titwillow song, and as much as I love the trio, well, I think the trio made some sense. They blended this into the context.
Joseph
It's well
Papp did
done.
that. He just
My eyes are fully open to this whole situation. That trio worked. The other two just seemed like they were a pause for a solo for one of the talented principals. And I found that a little distracting, and I thought it didn't allow the show to finish itself well. But hey, somebody's thinking about it.
Yeah, I think thank you so much for that. I think that this particular, set of artists, I think they were really trying to bring these words to life in a modern context that felt really palpable. And I know that just to comment real quick before we open it up to the audience, we do student matinees here at Quintessence. And while this is a show for everyone, as we mentioned, Gilbert and Sullivan's story are very universal. The children did have questions about why Donald Trump was on stage. And they asked it very blankly. They said, why? And so I had to explain to them what political satire was, and that Gilbert and Sullivan, that was their bread and butter. And, it made for a really interesting conversation. And I do think that that's something that this piece in particular, it is very fun. It's fun for the whole family. It's a great time. It sounds beautiful. The words themselves are really lovely. And I do think, and something here at Quintessence that we love to do is make people think and start conversations. And so thank you so much for that. Yeah.
And something also that your musical director did, because
Yes.
I'm guessing that's who it was. For those of you who don't know the show, this is the first time you've seen it, there were certain numbers, particularly where the chorus is singing, where there are repeats in the chorus that we who do these shows okay, they're moving on. And there was tightening up in many small, it wasn't big, but it was, there's one, there's one, there's one. I missed some of them, but it allowed the insertion of a couple of songs along with the idea that's what the director wanted to do.
Right.
Okay, it allowed that, and they were from the genre. They were from Mikado, from Ruttigore, and then there was one that Sullivan wrote on a poem by Tennyson.
Yeah.
So you didn't get overwhelmed by making it too long, because that's adding 3 songs. You added 3 songs, that's a lot to add. But with a snip here, a snip there, so they really thought this out.
They really did.
And I admire that. So I may not agree with putting those songs in there.
Sure.
But I agree. I think, okay, I understand, you're saving time here, you're saving time
Right,
there, okay.
right. It's like a nice little puzzle, I
Yeah.
think, for people that
Exactly.
really enjoy it and know the canon very well.
The energy level of this production was very high.
Yes.
We have an orchestra in Bucks County, a 27-piece orchestra. And when you do these shows with an orchestra, it has a whole different feel.
Right.
I mean, it's just as pleasurable to have a full orchestra as it is to have a small ensemble. But the small ensembles allows things to take a different pace on stage.
Yes, yes.
It happens snappier, it's
Yeah.
much snappier. One or two cases, I think it maybe was a little too quick. There were, you know, I missed some of the words here and there, but in general, it worked out. And the energy level of the performance, they were being professionals,
Yes.
and all the experience they've had
Yeah.
was pretty extraordinary.
Yeah.
Just
And a,
wonderful.
Agreed.
and a small ensemble in a venue like this is a wonderful venue
Yes.
to experience Gilbert and Sullivan for the first time also.
Yeah.
I found
Wow.
when you're in a larger audience or a larger auditorium with the 27-piece orchestra,
Right.
I recommend to anybody coming, read the libretto before you come. Because sometimes it's hard to catch all of it.
Yeah.
I once had the privilege of performing in a little church meeting hall that we couldn't seat more than I think 75, and I sent someone there to hear a show for the first time,
Yeah.
and they got everything, everything. But sometimes when you're a bigger auditorium, and here today you got everything, you got really almost all of it.
Yeah, let's recite the words to the modern Major General.
There we go. That's
Everybody want a little modern
absolutely.
Major General. Everybody's vegetable animal in it. Come on.
There you go.
The original Hamilton.
That's right, exactly. It's like a rock concert. It's so fun. I'm gonna actually open it up to the audience. If anyone has any questions for Bob and Julie, yes, right here.
Yeah, how did you choose among the musicals? How did this musical get chosen for the performance?
Oh, sure, yeah, I can answer that. So, our artistic director, Alex Burns, also directed this production of Pirates of Penzance. He loves Gilbert and Sullivan. He's a huge fan. And we just thought that it would be, this whole season is sort of curated around the idea of chosen family. And just sort of like collaboration and community, because we really feel like it's something that's needed right now. And always, of course. But I think that Pirates of Penzance is not only fun and fast-paced and has beautiful music, but it just ends very, very in like a lovely way. That's very like community-based, I'd say. Like they all kind of come together and and they're there for the wedding and it's just lovely. So yeah, I think that how our process to choose the season, Alex, our artistic director, as I mentioned, he sort of leads the charge in choosing the season. And again, he's a big Gilbert and Sullivan fan, so he wanted to do, and this is the first I think Gilbert and Sullivan that Quintessence has done before. So this is also a very exciting new opportunity for us. And it's a very collaborative process. Alex, listens to all of the staff members, all of the people in his community, just sort of getting ideas and sort of distilling those and sort of seeing what makes sense in a cohesive season. So we thought this would be a perfect holiday show for the chosen family season, for our 16th season here. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah.
Yeah, this production is so fast-paced, as you've mentioned already. How difficult is it for actors and actresses to perform a show like this?
I'm gonna hand that over to both of you because you're the Gilbert and Sullivan experts.
Piece of cake.
Piece of cake. So what is difficult? What is difficult about performing Gilbert and Sullivan? What's challenging?
Put it this way, people often ask me, they say, it must be so hard to learn how to sing songs. I go, no, songs are easy, it's the dialogue that's hard.
Yes.
But that's what rehearsals are all about.
That's right.
The sooner you learn it, the sooner you can be it. And you step onto stage and you step into the skin of a character and you become that character. And that helps me when I'm performing to be able to then, okay, these are my lines, this is who I am, and it's just rote. Some people drive in cars and they have the whole thing and they listen to it. Other people, it's like that, and I go, I hate you, because I can't do that. I have to work really hard at it. But every person, it's their own journey, but these are professionals also.
Right.
These are people who went to school, who learned all the tricks, who also learned how to focus their mind, their eyes, everything, because there's a group up in Falmouth, Massachusetts, where a lot of college kids come in the summer. They do 6 musicals, maybe it's 8 musicals in a summer season.
Wow.
They're cast at the beginning of the week, and by the end of the week, they're performing it.
Right.
And they're also in the show that's on stage. So they're learning a show, plus they're performing a show, and it's just boom, 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 and it's just, I think it becomes a part of who you are.
Yeah.
It really does.
It takes about, with amateurs, and we have some very talented amateurs, and our leads in the Bucks County group are professional
Yeah.
quality, but it takes 60 to 80 hours of rehearsal together,
Yeah.
and countless hours individually for people to learn their stuff. Because you want to get to the point, the director wants to get to the point where people are actually relating to each other on stage, telling a story sincerely, with sincerity, and not clowning and not trying to be funny, but you tell the story earnestly, and the humor comes out. The
Absolutely.
humor's written in.
Absolutely.
Gilbert was, you don't have to worry about the shows being funny or entertaining. Gilbert took care of that.
Yeah. I love that. Any other questions? Yes, right here.
I've got a question, and I'll say to this lady, as an amateur, the choreography is the hard part.
True. Yes.
And what
Dancing,
I-
singing, and acting at the same time is
Oh
very
my
common.
gosh, but what, and again, that's one of the real joys of this particular performance that this is the second time I happened to have been here the other night. And is the choreography, the ensemble choreography, the sense of ensemble, and obviously all the variation, but the physical comedy
Yes.
that this team did, their physical comedy, make the show's meaning come across so well.
Yeah.
And was one of the real strengths, I think, of this performance. And, as an amateur performer, the part that I think is the funniest and best thing to do. I do have 2 questions.
Sure.
One is the orphan thing, the sign that they're doing. I don't know, and I'm not a, historian of all of that, so what does that mean?
I've never seen that.
Well, they were crossing themselves.
I couldn't tell
Sort
if
of.
it
It
was
was
a
a
cross.
variation on
Yeah.
crossing.
It was
like-
kind of a
and
weird
then-
way of crossing themselves, but it's almost like, oh my God, I'm crossing myself.
Maybe they buried their parents. Oh.
Right. Maybe,
Yeah, I
right.
think that was a directorial choice,
Yeah.
And it's something that I think was meant to bring some clarity to that a little bit, but it's good
just-
to be, yeah.
it's
definitely.
Sullivan's prompt, some of his prompt books, if not all of them, exist. And you can go to them and see a lot of his detail of what he was looking for.
Yeah.
But the performance practices of Victorian times are very different from now.
Yes.
For the early Gilbert and Sullivan, an awful lot of it was stand and sing.
Mhm.
It became more stand and sing, but there would be particular movement, but it talked to the Victorian audience at that time. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of, when a director directs a show, there's an awful lot of that director's decision-making that
Right.
gets layered on the ensemble or something like that, group
Yeah.
movement and things like
Good
that.
directors, this is one of them, make sure that there's concerted movement.
Yes.
People like to see everyone on stage doing something similarly. And I particularly like that orphan gesture because it was repeated throughout the rest of the show and it made sense. It wasn't
Yeah.
overly distracting
Right.
or tiring or anything
Yeah.
like that.
But if somebody else wants to talk, I have another question more about, it was a plot point that
Sure.
it became clear sort of the second time I saw it. So we're gonna arrest you in Queen Victoria's name and we all have to honor, and it was kind of almost a satirical gesture then. But then the piece where they were wayward peers. What was up with that? I mean, because was there some allusion to that in the beginning that was missed or that I would have not heard? But all of a sudden, what made everything okay for the men to be men and boys to be boys and everybody to be acting badly is, of course, the fact that they were wayward peers, for whom all.
Well, they were all gentlemen who had gone wrong.
Right.
And gentlemen like earls and viscounts and,
Can do anything they want.
but therefore, that's what peers are.
Right.
And so the concept is that perhaps these are peers who've all gone wrong, so we love our peers.
Well, I guess my question was, how did they just decided that was the trope or the device that they were gonna use to make everything okay?
That's Gilbert. I swear to God, Gilbert, he's writing, and he pulls it, oh, time to end it.
Right.
And so many of the shows are going along, all of a sudden, boom, 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 the show's done. Whoa.
Yeah.
I really thought it was in addressing the orphan. Like, the way they got away from being pirated was being orphans, and the way they
Got away
got away from being killed at the end
Right.
is by being peers.
Right.
You know, I just thought it was a mirror.
shared.
That
Well, that's
moment
a
comes,
good point.
that moment comes more clearly. There were a lot of, it was sort of a chaotic ending right around that moment when it was revealed that they were peers who had gone wrong. And I think that there were some distractions.
interjections, yeah.
There were interjections that made that a little less clear.
That aren't there that aren't there in the show. They're from this was taken and that was taken
Right.
and this was
The
taken.
script-
So it made it a little bit less.
It kind of came on suddenly at the
Yeah.
end,
Right.
kind of thing, is
Yeah.
kind of a Deus Ex Machina.
It's
sort of
interesting, yeah, it's really interesting that was a trope of, or not a trope, but a style of Gilbert's
Oh, yeah.
writing.
Oh,
That was very like, oop, and now it's time to end.
It was, it
Because
really
we've all
was.
seen shows, TV shows, that it's like, oh, that was kind of, okay.
Right.
Yeah, but I think that's really interesting that's a common,
It seems to be. I mean, really, he did it a lot. There aren't a lot of shows where you have time for the audience to think, oh,
right?
okay, we've gotten to this point. I get it. It's like, oh.
Yeah,
The
you have to
good
be
guy
along for the
dies
ride.
in one show, at
Yes.
the end of the show. It's a sad ending. All the rest of them end really well.
And it's one of the most beautiful shows too.
Which one?
Which show?
Yeoman of the Guard,
Oh, yeah.
beautiful show.
Question right here.
Yeah, I have another question on choreography, I like yours.
Yeah.
Each of the sub-chorus pieces had a totally different style.
Mm,
The policemen had one set of motions,
yeah,
the girls had a different set of motions, the pirates had a different set of motions. And they feel to me more distinct than I've seen in the previous production. Can you say something about structure and design of motion?
yeah, I think that, so this choreographer, Shannon, I believe was her name, there was like, and we heard about rehearsal earlier and how, ideally we have 60 to 80 hours of rehearsal to put on a Gilbert and Sullivan production. These folks rehearsed in a week and a half, 2 weeks.
I was gonna say.
And it was a pretty truncated process, and so I think that like they learned the show in about 7 to 10 rehearsals,
Boy,
which is fast.
that's why we're professional.
Yeah.
Exactly,
That's
and
the
these
difference.
rehearsals were like long, like we do the Tuesday to Sunday, 8 hours a day, and so we did get as much as we really needed, but it was very quick. And so I think that like it was sort of a stylistic thing to sort of like really make those characters very distinct. But yeah, no, I think that the choreographer did a fantastic job, I think, of making the caricatures and the ingenues and the more like earnest like principal characters and sort of really like aligning that with Ethan as well.
She read the script.
Yeah, of course, I would
Very
hope
good.
so.
Very good.
Yeah, go ahead.
Some don't always read it.
That's true. Yeah, go ahead, right here.
So I'm always amazed at GNS, whose women are, sound very virginal and fragile, but there's always this grit underneath, and I really enjoy that.
I love that.
I think you
yeah.
played with that in this production.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that, folks? Just the women in this show in particular having a sort of like ingenue, very like not and but then having that like
Mabel knows what she
substance
wants.
underneath, exactly.
Oh, they all
Mabel knows what she wants. I mean,
Yeah.
Oh, they all do.
They all,
Yeah.
but I'm saying, you usually don't see that. Again, that's the director doing that. But when you're dealing with the characters, and I'm thinking of the women that Gilbert wrote, and a lot of them, they come across sometimes as a little bit, but ultimately like, oh yeah, I get that. I'm gonna do this. And they come, it becomes apparent of the strength that they have in them. But also, one thing I love about Gilbert, which is very funny, he makes great fun that Ruth is elderly as they come at 47.
47.
Excuse me, 45, 47, he references it several times
Yes.
in his musicals, and they're supposedly old and washed up, excuse.
Well,
I
in
know.
the era, perhaps that was what was.
Well, that was-
Oh, of course, yeah, in the 1800s, yes, 47, that's very
At
different.
the age of 42, and the dark of light behind you.
43.
This Ruth was, if there was a flaw, she was a little bit too cute.
Right,
It
because in the
works
script,
well
in the
if
script,
she's a little bit homely.
Right, so in the script, she's meant to be more, obviously, right, because of the lyricism, it's meant to be more plain and older, and yeah, that's very interesting. We have time for one more question, folks, one more question. Any
One
thoughts?
over there.
Oh, right here, oh, no, the one in the back, yes, thank you so much, I appreciate you, right here in the back.
I just, can I make 2 comments first? I did find the introduction of politics distracting, it kind of took me out of the play, and I thought the singing quality is just spectacular, which is great. I just wondered what you both think, or all of you, of the likely topsy-turvy movie, which to me just brought me totally into the beauty of the music and the poignancy of it at times. It just makes you tear up, and then the comedy of it, and it's great humor and all this. So it was.
That movie focused more on the Mikado, and the
Right.
Mikado is a gorgeous piece of music from beginning to end. Most of the shows are that way.
Other songs in it too, it's not just from.
Yeah.
I love that movie for several reasons. One of which, it was wonderful. It was beautifully done, and throughout it, again, doing a lot, being a Gilbert and Sullivan file. I'm sitting there going, oh look there, that's from Rutherford. Oh, that's from Sorcerer. Oh, I sang that duet. Okay, and it's that we're at the Mikado. The Mikado was on stage, but every piece of music that was layered in there was Sullivan's from I don't know how many shows. And as far as I'm concerned, it's a sing-along, which is, you don't want to go to, I keep saying, like the Sound of Music sing-along, I want to have a topsy-turvy sing-along for Gilbert and Sullivan fans, I'm going to sing along with it, because they can break into song on where the other places where these songs are. But it was a wonderful way also for people to appreciate what they did, the relationship, it was pretty clear. But then, again, being a GNS-ophile, there were a number of us who said, oh, he blew it, and the director, because behind, the pictures behind, I think, Doily Card, there was one punch picture there that was wrong, it was too early. It wasn't there yet. And he worked really hard. He worked really hard to make it absolutely accurate to the
Right, but
time.
I've already also rehearsed with the actors for months, they all dug into the history of it, so that every dialogue they improvised.
And they were cast, the people they cast looked like the people they were playing. They really did.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it was a beautiful movie. It was absolutely beautiful.
I think it's so fun that Gilbert and Sullivan has like a relatively extensive, you said how many shows? 14? 12?
Yep, 14.
14. For a pair that only wrote 14 shows, they seem to have such a strong effect on people that see their work. Musically, language-wise, text-wise, I really think that it's just, this production in particular, is just a really fun time. It's just a fun time. And it's just so lovely to have Bob and Julie here, who are GNS experts. Raise your hand if this was your first Gilbert and Sullivan experience. Me too.
Congratulations, welcome.
Me too. And I think that's really great. That's amazing.
Spread the word.
Spread the good word of Gilbert and Sullivan. And for this production of Pirates of Penzance, some of you have seen it multiple times, thank you. But tell your friends if you really had a good time. And we're open until the beginning of January, so we're open through the entire holiday season. Julie, Bob, thank you so much.
And
yes,
in the Delaware Valley, there is the Bucks County Gilbert and Sullivan Society. There are the Arden Singers in Arden, Delaware. There is the Rose Valley Chorus and Orchestra in Media.
Yeah.
There is the Savoy Company.
Savoy.
And I'm trying to think, and there are a lot of local, this
Is anybody still in place?
Place and Players, no, there's not right now, not a GNS.
That was Bruce Montgomery.
Yeah, Bruce Montgomery was there.
Don't
The
tell
Penn
me.
Singers used to do one every year, and every once in a while they'll do one. it's out there. And there are a lot of really good amateur groups that do it.
And before we say goodbye, folks, Julie and Bob, where can we find information about the Bucks County Gilbert and Sullivan Society?
Bucks County Gilbert and Sullivan Society, if you Google that or
And
whatever
Facebook.
you're.
And Facebook,
Yeah,
great,
and Facebook.
amazing.
Just
So please go
look
see
at
their
it.
production of HMS Penafore.
Father's Day.
Father's Day weekend, thank you so much. And everyone, please get home safe and stay warm. Thank you for staying for this amazing conversation. And thank you again for the